In this video, I'm going to show you how to embed your Twitch stream inside a tweet for others to interact and preview your stream without leaving Twitter. So before I show you how that's done, I want to give you an example what I mean with a non-interactive tweet. So let's say I want to do a go live tweet for my 22 followers. So I hit tweet here and I write something. I am going live, feel free to stop by, and I paste in my Twitch channel URL here. So let me just post this. And as you can see, it looks like this. And if I click on this now, it opens up my Twitch page. So for a more interactive tweet, which actually shows a preview, let me redo this here again. I'll do a new tweet. I do the same text. I'm going live, feel free to stop by. But here, instead, I'm going to embed a custom URL here. And as you can see here, I have a different title text, I have a different description, and I have a customized image here. So let me go and post this as well. So this is a preview, an interactive preview tweet. So if someone clicks here, it will actually open up my Twitch stream inside of Twitter. So in this video, we're going to go through 5 things here. The first thing is that we're going to go through a basic introduction of web pages and metadata. Then we're going to inspect how a link is shared on Twitter and how it looks like. Then we're going to go through something called Twitter cards and understand what they are and how we can use them. If you haven't coded before, I have created a generator that will actually create a web page that will simulate something like this. And finally, if you have no place to host web pages, I'm going to show you how to do that with GitHub Pages step by step. So the first thing I want to say is that there is a link in the description of this video, and if you click on that, you will be redirected to a written version of this blog post, which is this website here. So this is the written version of it. So it will go through all the details and everything you need to know and understand how to set up a preview tweet. So in this video, I'm basically just going to go through the different parts here and we'll talk about it together. So the first thing we need to understand here is that how web pages work. So a web page is a document that is written in HTML, and that is basically the building blocks of web pages. So if you look at my screen here, this is HTML, and this is like the bare minimum of any web page would look like. So if we literally take this code here, we can do this together. So if you create a new file on our desktop, call it webpage.html, then open up Notepad like this, go to our blog, copy in this HTML, paste it into Notepad, save it, and then we can open up our web page in our browser. You will see the same thing here. So this is basically the bare minimum of a web page and how it works. Okay, so a web page consists of 2 parts, and I hope you can see here now. The first part is called the head, and it is this section here, and the second part is called the body. So the head part contains meta information about the web page, and meta information about the web page is basically information about the web page, such as the title and the description, while the body section of a web page is what the user actually will see. So in this case here, the title is "This is the web page," and the description is "This is the description." And the body is a paragraph here. This is a really awesome web page. And as you can see here, the title is displayed in the browser's tab. This is a web page title, and the body is displayed to the user like this. So it's important to understand the meta part of how a web page works. And this meta information is used by a lot of different computer systems on the internet. For example, if you Google something, like this example here, so if you Google Steam, you will see that the title is Welcome to Steam, and the description is Steam is the ultimate destination for playing, discussion, and creating games. So basically, this is the title, and they have added a description on this web page, which is Steam is the ultimate destination for playing, discussion, and creating games. Okay? So this is the building block of how a web page looks like and the metadata. So now we understand the bare minimum of a web page, and that it consists of two parts. The head, which is the meta information about the page, and the body, which is what will be rendered to the user. Okay, so as I said, a lot of computer systems on the internet uses the meta information of a web page. Search engines such as Google and Bing uses it, but also social media websites like Twitter and Facebook. So to give you an example how it works in Twitter, let's do the same thing, but in Twitter here. So let me go over to the Steam web page. So this is the Steam URL. And let me do a tweet here. So I click on the new tweet button and I just paste in the URL. So what Twitter will do here is to fetch the web page title and description. So as we seen when we did the Google search, the title was Welcome to Steam, and the description was Steam is the ultimate destination for playing, discussion, and creating games, right? So this is basically the same information that is on the web page here. Okay, so one cool tool that Twitter has is called a card validator. And this is a tool that will let you inspect how a link will look like when it's shared on Twitter. So let me just open up this here. So this is the card validator. So let's do the same thing here. Let's paste in the Steam page and preview card. And we were going to see the same title and description here as well. So welcome to Steam. Steam is the ultimate destination for playing, creating, and creating games, right? So this is just a preview of the URL, and this is the same system as this, right? So you heard me mention something called Twitter card. So obviously there are a lot of people that post links on Twitter, right? So Twitter has come up with something called Twitter cards, which is basically like instructions for website owners so they can specify how their link will look like when it's shared on Twitter. With other words, when someone does a tweet here, they can specify how this part will look like. And you can, as a website owner, you can validate this using this tool. So this is why it's called a card validator, because this is technically called a card, this part here. So this is not something Twitter only does. Facebook has something similar, but that's called the Open Graph Protocol. So you could go through the documentation here, but we're not going to do this. Instead, we're going to just go directly to something called player cards, which is a part of Twitter cards. So when you specify a player card, you will actually specify that the link goes towards a video, which is great because this is what we want to do, because our stream is basically a video, right? So if you go through the documentation, you will find out that all we need to do basically is to add more metadata to a web page. So here's an example of the bare minimum metadata you need to add to a web page in order to create a player card for Twitter. So what we could do in theory here is copy this, then go over to our web page HTML, paste it in here, save, and if someone links to this web page here, they will do a preview to a video. So this is the bare minimum how we're going to create a preview tweet. So if you remember in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I've already created a generator. So if you scroll to this part of the blog post, you will see I've created a magical stream preview HTML generator. So this is a generator that will basically create our web page for us with all the metadata we need in order to create a web page that tells Twitter it's pointing towards a video, so we will be able to create a preview tweet, right? But if you go to this part of the blog post, you can start to fill in all this information here, such as the Twitch channel name, the page title, the page description. You need to link to an image if you want to customize image, and so on. So let's just go through this quickly. So in this case, I'm going to take my own Twitch channel, so I'm going to leave it to Special Agent Squeaky, but I'm going to modify the title here. So instead of going I'm live, I'm going to write going live in a few minutes. And the page description, instead of come and watch me play games and talk about goofy stuff, let's write here completing Dark Souls tonight. Click here for a preview. And as you see, when I type here, the HTML below here will be updated. And also added a section here if you want to have customized image. So right now it just points to something silly, I think. So let me copy this URL, open up it in a browser, and it will show this image here. But in our case, let's leave it like that. But you could specify your own image if you want to. So this is the generated HTML. This is the bare minimum you need for a web page to create a preview link in Twitter. So now that we have our HTML, we basically need to find a place where we can host it on the internet. So there are like a bazillion ways you can host a simple web page on the internet, and each way has their pros and cons. The pros with using, so in this example, I'm going to use GitHub and GitHub Pages. The pros with that is that it's easy, according to me, to set up, and it's free. The con is that all source code needs to be public for everyone to see. So when I mean source code, it basically means this HTML. So this HTML source code needs to be public. But seeing that this is just, a basic HTML that redirects to our Twitch stream, I don't see that as a problem, but it's available for everyone to inspect. So this is in this part of the blog post, I've written how to do that. The first step is to create an account if you haven't done that. I've already done that. So I'm going to skip to create a new repository. So we're going to do this together now. So I've already done that, created an account. So I'm logged into my GitHub account here now. So the first thing we need to do is create a repository, and we do that by clicking on this green button here called New. So repository is basically a folder, a project folder. You can think of it as a drop-down folder. So any files you have there will be versioned, so you can go back to see old versions of files and so on. So the first thing we need to do here is to create a repository name. So let's just pick something. Let's call this Twitter preview page. And it has to be public. And the reason why it has to be public is that in order for GitHub to host pages for free for us, the repository needs to be public. So we can't have it private. And let's create the repository. So this is how it looks like when you've created an empty repository. It's a lot of text here, but don't be alarmed. It's mostly help text on how to get started because we don't actually have any files in our repository. So the next step we need to do here is to create a new file. And we do that by clicking on the Create New File button up here. So we need to specify a name for our file. So we already know it's a HTML document. So we're going to use the HTML file extension. So .html. But we need to have a base name for the file as well. So we're going to use index.html. So the reason why we're going to use index is because index.html is like the industry standard on how to fetch the first page of a larger website. So for example, if you go to Amazon.com, what the web server will do is try to find a web page called index.html automatically, like under the hood. So that's why we're going to specify our page here as index.html. So as the source code here, or the contents of the file, we're going to copy this generated HTML. So I'm copying here and I'm just pasting in here as well. So I scroll down and click on commit new file. Commit here basically just means save and publish a new version. So we'll come to this view here, and here we can see that our repository only contains one file, and that file is index.html. So let's say we want to edit this file somehow. We do that by clicking on the file and then clicking on the pencil here to edit mode. And let's say we want to edit the title or the description of the page. So let's go back to our generator here, and let's have we will do a PS5 giveaway tonight. So that's the description. You have to copy the HTML here and paste it in here. But you could actually just modify this HTML by hand if you want to. It's up to you. Scroll down, click on new, commit changes. Then go back to repository view, and we see here that we still have one file here, but we have done 2 commits. That means we've done 2 changes, right? We've created one. The first change was creating the file, and the second one was updating the description. So just because we've created a repository, we have created a file, it doesn't mean that GitHub is automatically hosting this as a website right now. So what we need to do is go over to settings, and then we need to scroll down to a section called GitHub Pages. And here we just need to specify our source is the main branch and click on save. So that's the only thing you need to do. So this will reload the page. So if you scroll down to GitHub Pages here again, it will say that your site is ready to be published at a specific URL. So if you look at this URL here, you'll see that it's basically the GitHub username you've created. For me, my GitHub username is Special Agent Squeaky, and the last part is the repository name. So if you remember, our repository name is Twitter Preview Page. So we just need to wait here because it takes like a minute until a page is deployed on GitHub. So if I just press refresh here, you'll see it became green. That means it's been published. So if I just click on this URL here now, you will see that it opens up a new tab like expected, but it also goes to my Twitch page, and that is also expected because that's what we want to do, right? When someone clicks on our link, we want them to go to our Twitch stream. However, this is not how we want to use it. So what we need to do here is to right click on it and then press copy link location, because we're going to simulate this in a tweet. So let's go over to card validator and let's paste it into our validator here just to see how it will look like when this link is being shared on the internet or shared on Twitter. So I just click on preview card, and you can see here that this is how it will look like when it's shared in a tweet. So the title here, going live in a few minutes, we have the description and we have the image here. So if you go over to Twitter here and create a new tweet, let's say we're simulating going live in 5 minutes, and we paste in our new URL here, we'll see that our card appears here, just like the validator said, with all our settings. So let's just post this. Go to my profile and you'll see I've created this tweet, and if I now click on this, it will expand the preview. My channel is offline, so this is why it looks like. But if your channel was online, you will actually see yourself playing, right? Or whatever you're doing in your stream. So I'm just going to delete this here. So this is the basics of creating a link preview in Twitter, but in the next step, we're going to make it more fancy. So one last thing I want to mention before ending this video here is about cache and Twitter caching, is that you just remember that we did a tweet here, paste in the URL, and you see that our title is going live in a few minutes. Our description is we will do a PS5 giveaway tonight, and we have the same image. But let's say that we want to modify this somehow. So let's do that. So let's go over to the generator again. Let's see, all the way up here. And we're going to change this completely. So page title is welcome to our cozy stream. And page description is we play games during night, music during day. And let's say we have a new image. So instead of this URL, let's go to, let's go to my Twitch page here. And I right click on my icon here, and when I take view image, I copy this. So this is my Twitch icon, right? But I've uploaded. So I copy this URL, go over to the generator, and I paste here, and you will see that everything is updated. Copy the HTML, go back over to GitHub, scroll the way up here, go to my repository, click on my index. I want to edit this file, paste in the new HTML, do a new commit. It will now say that we are on our third commit, so we've done 3 versions, right? So everything is all right. However, if we go back to Twitter, copy my bit.ly, close this. For fun, I just reload the page and I do a new tweet, paste this in. You will still see the old page, right? That's because the page has been cached in Twitter's systems. So one way to change this, or there are 2 ways to change this. The most easiest way, I think it is that if you go back to the validator, enter the bit.ly URL here, preview, you will actually force Twitter to update its cache. So if you've done any big changes, I would recommend that you do a web page that is more generic, that will work each time. But you could do one for each stream if you want to. But if you do it, remember that there is a cache problem. So by doing this validator trick here, you will actually invalidate the cache and tell Twitter to fetch a new version of the page. So we've done that, and we can see that we have the new version of our page, new title here, welcome to a cozy stream, we play games during night, music during day, right? If you now close here, discard this tweet, do a new tweet, paste in our bit.ly. Okay, that didn't work. Let's refresh. Paste in. Okay. So I thought it would update here, but it didn't. Okay, but this is a good example. So we should have updated here because we've invalidated cache, but some reason it hasn't. So another trick, I will show you the second trick on how to do it, is that if you add something to your URL that tricks Twitter that it's a new URL. So this is our base URL. So if we just add a question mark to it and then just do 1, it will trick Twitter that it is a new URL, but it isn't really. So if you do that, you will see that it's basically the same link, but we've tweaked it in a way to trick Twitter, but it has to fetch a new page. Well, okay, I hope you understand. So that's everything I want to show you. Hopefully you've understand the building blocks on how to create a preview page in Twitter, how you will host it. You can use the generator if you want to. It's a convenient, simple way to create a web page HTML. You could use GitHub Pages to host it. You could use whatever you want to. There are paid services to do that. You can use Amazon Web Services. You can use the Google Cloud Platform, whatever. But this is the gist of it. So hopefully this has been an educational video and will give you more interactive tweets going forward. So have a great evening, and I catch you in the next video.